Hello children, how are you? Fine? Hope you are enjoying my video classes. So today I am going to take up the third topic of your NCERT textbook, that is human reproduction, and under this topic the subtopic which we are going to cover today, that is oogenesis. In my previous class we have discussed in detail about the processes, the steps in the process of spermatogenesis, which is a part of gametogenesis. Today we are taking up another part of gametogenesis, that is in case of human female, that process we call oogenesis. The most complicated process because it's a stopgap process. Some part is taking within the fetus itself during the embryonic development, and some part after childbirth, and then there is a stop again, and then this process continue on the onset of puberty. So if you find a basic difference between spermatogenesis and oogenesis, you see spermatogenesis started at the onset of puberty, whereas oogenesis started in the early embryonic development of a fetus. That is, at the end of almost first month of fetal development, or rather to say, during the fetal development, from the 2 months of a fetal age, a quite considerable number of oogonia or ovum mother cell has been developed within the female fetus, which is in still embryonic period. By the time the embryo reaches to 20 weeks, 20 weeks means almost 5 months, number of oogonia reaches to a maximum of almost 6 to 7 million. 6 to 7 million. Just imagine. Now question is, where from the oogonium develops? If you see the structure of a ovary, the inner most layer of the ovary, which is having a layer of epithelial tissue. The most simplified diagram I am trying to draw. This is what we call germinal epithelium. This is what we call germinal epithelium. Germinal. So if I make like this, germinal epithelium. Now this germinal epithelium layer some of the cells of this germinal epithelial layer of ovary, some of the cells of the germinal epithelial layer of ovary become quite big and forms the oogonium, otherwise called oocyte mother cell. Oogonium, otherwise called oocyte mother cell, and this starts in the early embryonic period itself. Early embryonic period itself. Is that clear to you? By that time, the fetal embryo reaches to nearly 7 months to 8 months at the 20 week, that means 5 months of age of an embryo, fetal embryo which is still in mother's womb. By that time, the total number of oogonium reaches to 6 to 7 million. But after that, it starts degenerating. Number of oogonium starts degenerating. And when it is about to get birth, the maximum number of oogonium in each ovary, the number of oogonium remain nearly a couple of million. Is that clear to you? That means a good number of, earlier which was 6 to 7 million, has reduced to 2 million. Remaining has degenerated. Is that clear? After childbirth, when a female baby is getting birth, no more oogonia throughout its life either added or formed. So whatever the number of oogonia with which a child is getting birth, there will be after that no more formation of oogonia. Is that clear to you? Now the oogonia will undergo mitotic cell division. Or mitosis, and after mitosis it will differentiate. So if I rub this part, so the oogonia will undergo mitosis and differentiation to form primary oocyte. This process of formation of primary oocyte is called oocytogenesis. Anyway, so the oogonium undergo mitotic cell division and gets converted into primary oocyte. Where does this takes place? This takes place within the embryonic period itself, within the embryo itself. Be very clear. Now, again, within the embryonic period itself, before the fetus is getting birth, means before the female baby is getting birth, this primary oocyte will undergo meiotic division. As you know, meiosis or meiotic division is having two subdivisions, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. It will undergo meiotic division 1. But how long this meiotic division 1 will continue? Meiosis 1 will start during the embryonic period and it will arrest, it will stop, it will not proceed further. Where it will stop? At the prophase 1, meiosis 1 is having again prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, telophase 1. And prophase 1, where prophase 1 is having so many subphases. What are those? At leptotin. At a leptotin subphase of prophase 1 of meiosis 1, this will stop. So, the primary oocyte so formed within the within the fetal, that is embryonic period, before childbirth, within the fetus, before it is getting birth, that is during the embryonic period itself, the primary oocyte undergoing meiosis 1, and the process of meiosis 1 will stop there itself for the time being, where in the leptotin phase of prophase 1. The baby is getting birth now. Is that clear? Is that clear? Now, what happened to this? What happened to this? Within the ovarian stroma, the primary oocyte so formed. Within the primary oocyte, suppose these are the primary oocyte. Now, they will be surrounded by a layer of granulosa cell. A layer of granulosa cell. So suppose this is the primary oocyte surrounded by, covered by a layer of granulosa cell. So if I draw a primary oocyte, little big size here, this is a primary oocyte covered by a layer of granulosa cell. Granulosa cell. What is this cell? Granulosa cell. Granulosa cell. Now, at this stage of primary oocyte, it is called primary follicle. Primary follicle. So, is it very clear? This primary follicle formation, it is within the primary oocyte itself. When the primary oocyte is covered by a layer of granulosa cell, as I have shown here, now it is called as primary follicle. Primary follicle. Okay? When a baby is getting birth, and from birth to puberty, the number of primary follicle remain only 60,000 to 80,000. That means many number has by that time degenerated. Is that clear? So, at puberty it starts around 12 to 13 years of female child. By that time, the number of primary follicle which is formed by the primary oocyte by covering with a granulosa cell has reached to only 60 to 80,000. That means maximum number has already been degenerated. Now, at this very stage, try to be very, very specific. Now, the primary follicle will be covered by another layer of granulosa cell. Additional layer of granulosa cell. Now we call it as secondary follicle. Secondary follicle. Now it is called as secondary follicle. Is that very clear? Additional layer of granulosa cell develops. So more layer of granulosa cell develops. Over the secondary follicle, Now what happened? A very interesting thing, that is, this is the primary oocyte. This is the, or if I show it here, if I show this phenomenon actually taking place within the ovary itself. So if I show it here, this is the primary oocyte. This is the primary oocyte. Is that clear? Primary oocyte. Now the granulosa cells, more and more number. This is the primary follicle. More number of granulosa cell forming another layer. Now it is the secondary follicle. Now more number of granulosa cell covers the primary oocyte. Covers the primary oocyte. And a layer of theca cell surrounds the follicular cells, the granulosa cells. This theca cell differentiate itself, organize itself in two different layers. Innermost layer called theca. If I rub this part, this innermost layer called theca interna. Theca interna. And outermost layer called theca externa. Theca interna, innermost theca layer. The theca layer which is formed around the granulosa cell of the primary oocyte differentiate itself into two different layers. Outermost theca externa and inner theca interna. By that time, an interesting thing happens. The granulosa cell nearest to the primary oocyte, the granulosa cell nearest to the primary oocyte. So if I draw a separate diagram, this is the primary oocyte, the granulosa cells, these are the granulosa cells. Look at the diagram very carefully so that you can get the concept. These are the granulosa cells. These are the granulosa cells, one more layer. One more layer of granulosa cells I am drawing. Now the granulosa cell round the oocyte forms a continuous layer around it, and this layer is now called, this layer which is immediately to covering the primary oocyte is now called as zona pellucida. Zona pellucida. And around the zona pellucida, the follicular cell forming another layer. This layer is called corona. What is it called? Corona radiata. Corona radiata. So the layer of follicular cell immediately covering the primary site. This is the primary site. Which the immediate layer of granulosa cell called as zona pellucida. It is forming a layer called continuous layer called zona pellucida, and outside the zona pellucida, the follicular cells forming another layer called corona radiata. Now the follicular cell inside are secreting a fluid. This fluid makes a cavity pushing this fluid secreted by the follicular cell, innermost follicular cell. This fluid, the innermost follicular cell secretes a fluid. That fluid pushes the primary oocyte at one side, forming a cavity. This cavity is called antrum. This antrum is now filled with fluid. At this stage, the primary oocyte, at this stage, from secondary follicle, now it is called, at this stage it has converted into a mature follicle. Otherwise called tertiary follicle. Now when the secondary follicle, when the secondary follicle reaches to the stage of tertiary follicle, then at this very stage point, notice very carefully this point. The secondary follicle, when converted into a tertiary follicle, where a fluid-filled cavity develops called antrum. Now at this tertiary follicular stage, the prophase 1 which was arrested, which was seized during embryonic period itself before childbirth, which started and ceased. Now the prophase 1 gets completed. The mature follicle, tertiary follicle, now converted into a Graafian follicle. By that time, the first meiotic division has been completed. Is that clear to you? So at which stage of follicular development the first meiotic division completed? At the onset of puberty, when the primary to secondary to mature follicle, secondary follicle converted to mature follicle, otherwise called tertiary follicle. Then at this tertiary follicular stage, the first meiotic division completes. So when the first meiotic division complete, what is the result of first meiotic division? Summary of this part. So we have started with oogonia. Mitosis, primary oocyte, then primary oocyte, meiosis 1, As I told you, at this tertiary follicular stage, meiosis 1 will be completed. As a result of meiosis 1, thus primary oocyte will convert into secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte. So let me rub this part. Now the primary oocyte is divided into secondary oocyte by completion of meiosis 1 and a small body. So this secondary oocyte, if I make it a sketch, this is the secondary oocyte and a small body. This is the secondary oocyte and a very small body called fast polar body. Fast polar body. Now question is, by the end of meiosis 1, when primary oocyte forms divided to form secondary oocyte and fast polar body, why secondary oocyte is bigger in size and fast polar body is very small? What is the need of this? It is because as this fast polar body is of no use. Why no use? That we shall come. If it is no or not in use, then why formed? That also will come. As the secondary oocyte, which has to retain maximum amount of cytoplasm and the reserve yolk, which is required for the immature ovum. That is why maximum amount of cytoplasm will retain here, maximum amount of yolk will retain here, which is required for its further on course of development and for fertilization and zygote so formed. That is why it is quite bigger. Then what is the use of formation of fast polar body? Because the secondary oocyte, oogonia, is having 46 number of chromosome, 46, that is 2n. Primary oocyte also having 46 number of chromosome, that is 2n. But now the meiosis 1 is a reductional division. Chromosome number will split. So in order to split the chromosome number, exactly how? Two types of cells are formed. One is this fast polar body with 23, that is a number, and here 23, that is n number. Is that very clear? So the purpose of forming a polar body is to divide or reduce the number of chromosome at primary oocyte into exact two half. One half will reach to the, that is n number will reach to the secondary oocyte and another n number will reach to the fast polar body. Later on, the fast polar body gets degenerated. The secondary oocyte so formed, the Graafian follicle, as I told you, the mature follicle, tertiary follicle gets converted into Graafian follicle. Now the Graafian follicle will rupture. There will be a rupturing of the Graafian follicle. When the Graafian follicle rupture, this contained released outside. This process of release of secondary oocyte from Graafian follicle is called as ovulation. So during the menstrual cycle, at the mid of menstrual cycle from 10 to 14 days, ovulation takes place, and it is from the Graafian follicle, it is the secondary oocyte. This is the secondary oocyte. secondary oocyte. The secondary oocyte actually released during the process of ovulation. Remember very carefully, it is not the ovum, mature ovum, it is the secondary oocyte released. Is it very clear to you? Now, the secondary oocyte which is formed and released by ovulation, this secondary oocyte will undergo second meiotic division and it will complete the second meiotic division only. Remember, it will complete the second meiotic division only when a secondary oocyte encounters a sperm, it is covered by layers of corona radiata and zona pellucida, as I have already explained. Now, when the sperm makes an entry to the secondary oocyte, then with the help of the sperm which facilitate the completion of second meiotic division, and at the end of second meiotic division, the resultant product is the formation of ovum and a small body called second polar body. Second polar body. So at the end of second meiosis, meiosis 2, the resultant product is meiosis 2 is equal division. The chromosome number retains the same. Here N 23 number of chromosome. It will produce the ovum and the secondary polar body. Not secondary polar body, second polar body. Second polar body. Second polar body again gets degenerated. But remember, the process of second meiotic division initiated when the oocyte, when the secondary oocyte is fertilized by a sperm. It is with the help of the sperm, the machinery of sperm, the second meiotic division gets completed and the secondary oocyte getting converted into an ovum and a second polar body. And after fertilization, the resultant product will be the formation of zygote. So if we look at the structure which I have drawn, if you go through ovary clipping I have taken here, you see the primordial follicle, otherwise called immature follicle, gets converted into primary follicle where it has been surrounded by a layer of granulosa cell, more layer of granulosa cell formed around the primary oocyte and getting converted to secondary follicle, then converted to tertiary follicle, then it is a mature follicle where a fluid filled cavity, this fluid is secreted by the granulosa cell itself, this what you call the antrum, and now the oocyte, the primary oocyte is completing its meiotic 1 division or first meiotic division. At this stage, what you call as tertiary follicle or mature follicle. Then, after completion, by the time the tertiary follicle has converted into a Graafian follicle and the completion of meiotic 1 results in the formation of one small body called first polar body and the secondary oocyte. It is the secondary oocyte now released by the process of ovulation. And after release of secondary oocyte, the left out part, what we call as corpus luteum. This is the corpus luteum. The corpus luteum is very, very important because it secretes a very important female hormone. What is that hormone? It is a very important hormone secreted from the corpus luteum. Corpus luteum, as you know, the two hormones many times you have heard. One is estrogen, other is progesterone. So it is this progesterone hormone secreted from the corpus luteum. Now one thing you shall have to be very, very specific. It is what is the factor, guiding factor, which converts the primary follicle into secondary follicle into tertiary follicle. How the more layer of granulosa cell accumulate and this transformation takes place. It is again guided by hormones. What is that hormone? Two hormones, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and LH, luteinizing hormone, which are, where from they are secreted? They are secreted from anterior pituitary gland. And the secretion of these two hormones again guided by hypothalamic releasing factor. So this hypothalamus will release hypothalamic releasing factor, which will initiate the anterior pituitary gland to release FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and LH, luteinizing hormone. These two hormones will help for the further development of primary follicle to secondary follicle to tertiary follicle, which gets completely matured, and there the process of first meiotic division completes and the primary oocyte getting converted into a secondary oocyte and first polar body. So this much I suppose you have got a very clear concept. Some more structures I will show you here. So this is a structure I have taken in the ovary. Within the ovary a stroma. This structure is very much given in your NCERT textbook. Here the primary follicle getting converted, the primordial follicle getting converted to primary follicle, to secondary follicle, to almost getting converted into tertiary follicle gets matured to form a Graafian follicle, which is now rupturing, the ovulation takes place. It is not the ovum, but rather to say it is the secondary oocytes are released, and the left out part, what you call as corpus luteum, this corpus luteum is releasing a very important hormone. That is what you call, just now I told, it is the progesterone hormone. Very, very important, which helps to maintain the pregnancy. If the egg is fertilized, the egg will form a zygote, and the zygote will further develop to form embryo, and the mother is called pregnant mother. The maintenance of the pregnancy is assisted by the hormone secreted from the corpus luteum, the progesterone hormone. Some more clipping I will show you. So this is it is written here ovum, but better to say it is the secondary oocyte because the sperm has not yet penetrated. So second meiotic division has not yet completed, and surrounded by zona pellucidal layer, corona radiator layer, the sperm is about to penetrate, or as if it is entering. Once it is entered with the help of machinery of sperm, now the secondary oocyte will convert into a ovum, and the process of fertilization will be completed. So this is the mature follicle as I have drawn here. The same thing it is shown here. The layer of follicular cell forming antrum here, antral cavity. By the antral fluid it is filled. The corona radiator layer, the zona pellucidal layer. So the theca externa and theca internal layers. So with this we have tried to get a very clear concept about the whole process of oogenesis. Again I tell you, spermatogenesis when starts at the onset of puberty and continues almost throughout the life of a male, whereas oogenesis starts at the embryonic period itself, almost at the end of first month of embryonic development, and it stops for some time after childbirth and again enters during the onset of puberty, and then it continues up to age of on an average 48 to 50 years and then stop. that stoppage which we call the menopause, and after that there is no question of proceeding of the oogenesis. Is that very clear? I hope you could get a very clear concept about oogenesis, the steps and the difference between spermatogenesis and oogenesis. With this, thank you.